Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena, and if you look at the screen right now, you are going to see a lot of cards run by. 2 packs of Guilds of Ravnica, Thrones of Eldraine, 3 packs, Theros, Beyond Death, Core 21, Strixhaven, Forgotten Realms, Dominaria, Instagrad, and 10 packs of March of the Machine. How did I get these? How much currency did I spend? Well, the short answer is none. The long answer is maybe 200 or 300 gems. I started with a little bit over 1,800 gems, and I still have over 1,800 gems. So virtually nothing was spent to get all of these things. Now, I'm going to take you on a little journey. That journey begins with what we do in Standard. If you are brand new to the game, I would be playing Standard all of the time. The reason is you're able to collect Standard cards a lot easier than you're going to be able to collect cards that are out of Standard, because most of the awards in the Mastery Tree specifically are going to be from Standard. Also, there's a nice little gift that you get from Standard, which is these golden packs. Those are very good. The first year in your profile, you should be focused on Standard and collecting as many cards as humanly possible. And along the time, you are going to be collecting as many wild cards as you possibly can. I would not, however, be spending any of the rare or mythic wild cards. Common and uncommon wild cards are very easy to get. As you can see on this profile, we have a ton of common and uncommon wild cards. Our rares and mythics are still a little bit low, but the reason is because I went into Historic and built a completely busted, in my opinion, Azorius token. Nope, that's not the one. Azorius Artifacts Historic deck. I researched a lot of decks and kind of settled on a Retrofit Foundry deck that focuses on putting small creatures out, getting Mashiko's Reign of Truth, and all that glitters on small creatures like the Ornithopter or the Esper Sentinel, or more importantly, that Volt Scourge, in order to get return on investment, to be able to kill your opponent very rapidly with small little junk creatures that continue to open the battlefield. I took this deck into a traditional historic event. Now, pretend that you do not see that I'm in the middle of another one right now, but these events are actually pretty solid. I took that deck into the event and won 5 rounds right out of the gate, and my 4 play-in points are the reward for that. Those matches are recorded and will probably become a video. But for our purposes here, I was able to win. And then I started looking at this a little bit and noticed that if you play and you went above 500, if you are just an above 500 player, and a lot of that is going to be dependent on your skill set, but a lot of it also is built around the choice that you choose to take into the arena, the choice of cards, the type of deck, and this artifact deck is kind of perfect for doing that. That is what I would spend my rare and mythic wild cards on. Build one very strong deck. This is after your first year in the arena, whenever most of your cards are rotating anyway. Throughout that year, you probably have collected a lot of these. We're not crafting, or at least in my opinion, you should not craft cards for Standard decks. And the reason is, I do break this rule all the time, but the reason is because these cards, not only are they the easiest to get in Arena, but meta changes so rapidly in Standard that as soon as you craft a card, it might not be playable a week or 2 into the future. That has happened to me so many times, being a huge Magic the Gathering fan and being a huge YouTube fan for that as well. Watching a lot of people play these decks that just do so well, and then you craft it, and then by that time, people have already seen those decks. And they know how to respond to those decks, and they no longer do exactly what they wanted them to do. Now, the way to go infinite because historic changes much slower. In standard, this is actually near rotation for standard. We are just a few months away from rotation, so we got a lot of cards in here. Sadly, all the things from Instagrad, Kamigawa, and Streets of New Capenna are all going to be rotating out fairly soon. So crafting any of these for standard play is now going to be kind of a waste of time. The thing is, those move into the historic archives. The thing to keep in mind is that you can still play these cards in either Explorer or Historic. These cards still have a spot in the game, in the meta game of Magic the Gathering Arena. You still get your daily rewards all of the time, and on top of that, you can still compete for rank here. Now, I will say that I haven't played anything in ranked because I've been a little bit obsessed over the past couple of days. Over the weekend, I have been 100% obsessed with one event. Let's also say that the reason I have been obsessed with this event is because I've had a lot of trouble drafting March of the Machine. I don't like 3-color decks, and we see a lot of those. There's so many things happening with this set. I've just had trouble grasping it, and it costs currency in order to join into these drafts. So I was like, well, let's move away from these drafts right now. Yes, I want to collect a lot of March of the Machine, but because I've not had much success and we're burning through currency left and right, I'm going to hold back and do something different. That's why I joined the Historic event. Not only are you collecting cards from previous events, but you're also collecting the chance of a pack of March. Like, I have no idea where these 10 packs come from. I don't know. I think they come from the event, but I'm not 100% sure. I have seen no information on whether random packs will be given to you if you do well in these events, but all of the research I have done doesn't say that that's true. So where these packs come from, nobody knows, but I know it has a little bit to do with the mastery thing, but whatever. We're not really talking about that. If you are in a historic event, if you get 2 wins, you get 2 packs and 150 gems. That is a terrible return on investment. So if you don't have a deck like Azorius Artifacts, if you don't bust your wild cards to make one big boy baller deck that you understand and know how to play well, then this might not be the spot for you. But if you can consistently get 3 wins, you get 2 packs for 150 gems because you get 600 of them back. And if you get 4 wins, you actually make a profit of gems should you be doing this event. Well, that's where best of 3 is much better than best of 1 because you're able to take your best 75 cards, your best 75 card deck, use 60 of them, play a match, then have 60 more with sideboard included to perfect your deck, and then go in and try to get the wins. That's what I have been doing over the past few days. I wanted to see, and I wasn't playing a whole lot. I had a lot of things to do this weekend. It was a great time this weekend. Took the kid out, did some things. And between those times, I would just queue up a match whenever I was bored or something. And this was the effect of that. Cost me around 300 gems. So if you want to be free to play, I would highly recommend this. But why do I recommend this over the standard event? As we have kind of touched on a little bit earlier, standard changes all the time. What worked yesterday won't work tomorrow, and next week it might work again, but it might not. So you have to constantly shift your playstyle. You have to constantly shift the cards that you're running, which makes it incredibly expensive to go in and do the standard events. That on top of the fact that you are only going to get cards from the newest set. A better way to get cards from the newest set, if you are wanting to just fill out your collection and stuff like that, is take these gems and buy packs in the store and redeem golden packs. That is a better way of redeeming these. So You're going to see a lot of these packs come in with the Mastery Pass. You're going to collect the cards with your monthly rewards in every season. You're going to be getting a lot of these cards all of the time. So it's not necessary to try to completely maximize and get as many March of the Machine cards as humanly possible. Now, I will admit that this is not a fast process. With how many sets are out right now, my god, there are so many sets in Magic the Gathering Arena. We have all of these different sets that we could buy, all the way back to whenever the game first released. So, will you really fill out a collection? Probably not. Not unless you are like me and absolutely obsessed with Magic the Gathering. I will be working on catching everything, but that is just my personal choice, and it is not required by anybody. But if you just want to collect a bunch of cards and play a bunch of cool jank all the time, you could do that in Historic, but always have that one deck that could back you up and win those events. If you are scared about joining these events, I wouldn't necessarily be, and let me explain why. Because, as you can see, there is absolutely no ranking on this. Typically, people playing in these events are competent, but I've seen a lot of players make a lot of mistakes and allow me to win games I should not have because they misplayed the cards and the opportunities they had to shut down the game. You don't have to be perfect, but you really should know how to play the deck that you're going in with. One thing that I would recommend, and this is a slog as well, is to build a deck such as this Azorius Artifacts and make sure that it could get into Mythic and play competently in Mythic. Yeah, once you know you can play in Mythic with a deck and play competently with it in Mythic where you're winning above 50% of the rounds, well, lo and behold, it's probably going to do just fine in those events. What are we using ladder for in this situation? Mostly we're using the ladder in order to get practice and to become better players so that we could come to the historic events and really start to build out our economy and get as many cards as we possibly can. As said, this was one weekend. This was 0 gems. I did spend 5,000 coins, so yep, there is that. But the rewards are worth it, but you have to have a deck that's going to compete. The best part about Historic is once you have a deck that wins and wins a lot, chances are it will win tomorrow, it will win the day after it, and it will win a year from now. So it doesn't have to be a slog. You have 10 minutes in a day and you have a deck that could win in 10 minutes. Let me rephrase that. If you have an hour every day, you could queue up a couple matches and then log off. Queue up a couple matches and then log off. And then we are no longer worried at all about rank. We are no longer worried about doing our dailies or anything. We're just collecting free cards. But you have to get the competency to be able to play the cards well and play your deck correctly. And then go into the events and just have a good time. Have fun. Enjoy the games. You already have your deck that does your thing. You're not worried about other things. But if other things come up, then have some fun, build them up, and maybe take those into the queue and see if you could get some wins with that in ranked. But it doesn't have to be a slog, guys. It could be nice, it could be relaxing, and lo and behold, you could build out your collection. That is my 2 cents on it. I've only joined a handful of these events, so if you have a different experience in historic events, let me know down below. Remember that this event is strictly if you know what you're doing. If you are new to the game, Standard is a fantastic place to learn the intricacies of the ins and outs of how the game is played. It also allows you a baseline amount of cards that will help you grow your collection and get more wins in order to get into the bigger side of the game. The 90% of the entire game is in historic, but in order to get there, you have to trudge through standard for a bit. Thank you for joining today. Make sure you've liked the video and subscribed to the channel, and we will bring you more decks, more economy guys, and more philosophy related to Magic the Gathering. Bye.